to Cousin Sal's winning weekend. I'm Cousin Sal, the current odds-on favorite to coach the New York Knicks in 2026. Starters will never rest when I'm in charge, I'll tell you that much. We've got a knockout of a show for you today. Sugar Sean O'Malley joins us ahead of his big rematch with Merab Dvalishvili tomorrow night at UFC 316. I said, Sean, you should be locked in and focused on the fight. And he said, no. I want to come hang out with you on winning weekend and talk about weird tattoos and who I'm not going to argue with that guy, right? Then the D3 joined me to give their best bets for the NBA and Stanley Cup finals as both head to game 2, which they always say are the second best 2 words in all of sports. I don't know. But before any of that, it's time for a segment that tests my reflexes and reactions. It involves our producer, Mikey Meatballs, throwing a crumpled up piece of paper with a thought written on it in my direction. I'll catch it, I'll read it, and I'll tell you my thoughts on the issue. We call this Tossing Topics. All right, Meatballs, fire away. What do we have? Good. This is Inside the NBA Adios. Yeah, what an incredible run for this juggernaut on TNT. Yes, let's give it up. In my opinion, this was the greatest sports show of all time. Apologies to Jay Moore, of course. What Chuck, Kenny, Ernie, and Shaq have created is incredibly unique. I know a lot of people who skip the NBA action and just tune in for the post-game commentary. And this is like if you skipped the wedding and just showed up the following day for brunch at the mother-in-law's apartment. My apologies to the bride and groom and their nuptials, but I'm all about the mini quiches. The Inside the NBA crew will continue on at ESPN, but what really happens when they're done for good? We need these guys in our lives like they have been for the past 25 years. I'm nervous. Chuck already said he's only got 2 years left. Kenny's wobbly knees are bad. He can barely run to the board anymore. And let's be honest, Shaq's mumbling a lot lately, even for him. This entire crew are national treasures, and we need a plan in place for when they're gone. We regret not making one for Vin Scully, Bob Uecker, Bill Walton, Greg Gumbel, Bob Costas.
Costas is still alive.
He is? You want to check that? All right, whatever. If you say so. Anyway, here's what I think we should do with Inside the NBA. And I know it's controversial, but we need AI to take over and not Allen Iverson. We have hours and hours of programming, plenty of audio and video of Shaq and a Fool, EJ's Nito stat of the night, who he play for. So let's keep this going and AI-ify Inside the NBA. And I know you're thinking this sounds crazy, but we could all agree the AI version of Kenny Smith is better than the HD version of Stephen A. Smith. Look, it's either that or we just run an hour of Magic Johnson tweets on a loop. Also endlessly entertaining. Toss me another one. What do we have? NBA Celebrity List Finals. Okay, Game 1 of the NBA Finals took place last night, but it already felt dull. I'm going to be honest. I know the Thunder have the MVP, but this series is lacking star power. Not on the court, but courtside. We were spoiled in the conference finals at MSG. New York had Timothy Chalamet. OKC has Timothy McVeigh. New York has Ben Stiller. OKC has Ben Bangs Roto-Rooter Plumbing and Drain Service out of Tulsa. They did get 4 stars on Yelp, so technically a little star power, but here's what I did. I went the extra step and Googled Oklahoma City Thunder celebrities, and Kristen Chenoweth came up. I like Kristen. She's a Broadway treasure. She needs to start showing up to these games. What is she doing anyway? There's 6 more months until Wicked 2 premieres. Not that I'm counting. Also, it's a total win for the Thunder. You get an actual celebrity at the game, and you don't have to pay for the seat. She's 4'11". She could sit on the owner's wife's lap. Let big bad Pat McAfee dare challenge the Pacers to make petite Kristen Chenoweth's ears bleed. We'll cancel him before his next on-air bromance with Aaron Rodgers. All right, one more, Meatballs. Good. Dodger Stadium food frenzy. All right, earlier this week, I took the family to Dodger Stadium to see my Mets play and hit the perfect fan parlay. The Mets won. It took me less than 9.5 hours to drive home, and I hit over 10,000 calories by the 7th inning stretch. What a night. Now, that last leg was easy. Dodger Stadium is quickly emerging as my favorite restaurant in LA, but the problem is, in the past, to get all the good food, you miss 2 to 3 innings standing in line at the concession stand. However, this season, the Dodgers made their best signing since Ohtani. His name is Uber Eats. He comes from America and plays every position. And let me tell you, Monday night, he came through in the clutch. Check out this lineup of Dodger dogs, garlic fries, Korean chicken, popcorn, pretzels, churro ice cream, all ordered straight from your seat. Now, it's not delivered to you directly, but they text you when it's ready so you don't have to miss the wave. Sorry, RFK Jr., your tenure just took a big hit. Thanks to the Dodger Stadium Uber Eats partnership, we're all going to look like Fernando Valenzuela eventually, and there's nothing we could do about it. Now, if the good people at Chavez Ravine could just add a spicy mustard fountain in the mezzanine, I'll splurge for season tickets and move my RV into the parking lot. Speaking of tasty, it's time for my weekly irrationally angry attempt to make rational sense of a somewhat irrational bet. It's wagering. If you caught our program last week, you bore witness to my first NFL futures bet of the season. We had hit the 100th day to kickoff milestone, so it only felt right. The Detroit Lions to make it to the divisional round at plus money. Oh man, it felt so good getting a pigskin pick on the board. And then a couple days later, this happened.
We've got breaking news out of the NFL where Lions All-Pro center Frank Ragnow is retiring after just 7 seasons.
Yep, Lions center Frank Ragnow calling it quits, 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time second teamer, and he had seen enough. Playing with a fractured throat, fine, but playing while knowing I had money on his team to succeed, no, not happening. Everyone's got their tipping point. So I guess I need a new pick, and now that it's confirmed that my jinxing powers are in full effect, I should probably just bet the Eagles, Commanders, and Giants to make the playoffs, opening the door for my Dallas Cowboys. But I'm not going to do that. I'm really putting my best foot forward, betting on a kicker, perhaps the greatest ever to kick at least one field goal in every regular season game at plus 600. And why not? His name is Brandon Aubrey. He's the best booter in the game. In 2024, Aubrey nailed a field goal in 15 of 17 games. In 2023, same thing, 15 of 17. This season, we're going to make that 17 for 17 for Brandon Butter Aubrey. This guy is inhuman. Over the last 2 years, 24 for 27 from 50-plus yards and pretty damn good from 60-plus. Dallas basically needs a touchback and a 4-yard out route to George Pickens, and we're already in his range. So Cowboys field goal in every regular season game, 6-1 odds. And now we sit back and wait to read about how Brandon Aubrey's right foot was devoured by a tarantula while hiking in Sedona. Time for our first break. When we get back, I'll talk to Sugar Sean O'Malley as he prepares to reclaim the Bantamweight Championship at UFC 316 tomorrow night. That's next on Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. All right, welcome back to Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. Let's bring in our guest this Saturday at UFC 316. He'll be looking to take back the bantamweight title from Rob Valashvili. I believe he has a slight reach advantage and an unprecedented hair advantage. One of my favorite octagonians, Sean Sugar O'Malley. What's happening, Sean?
Not a whole lot. I do indeed have the hair advantage, but I would say that reach advantage is a little bit more than a slight reach advantage. He's about 5'4".
Right. Well, I didn't want it getting out there. I wanted, I want to let him think he's got a chance this time. But listen, Sean, we actually met at the Tom Brady roast after party. I don't know if you remember this. I approached you because I felt you were mad dogging me. So I was like, yo, what's up? No, I told you, I came up to you and I said I was a big fan. And I offered you $20, which was a percentage of the loot that I had won betting you to beat Peter Yan. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
You do.
Yep. You gave it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you didn't let me give it back to you either.
No, I didn't let you
gave it to me, and yeah.
No, you did the right thing.
Yeah,
you took it. You earned it. Yeah. Am I the only fan who's ever tried to give you money as a thank you?
When I streamed on Twitch, when I was gaming a lot, there was times where people would come in and donate, say, hey, I won 1,200 on you. Here's a couple bucks. So, but in person, you were the first in-person one to, share your winnings with me. So thank you for that.
Okay, no problem. I hope I could do it again. Now, so about this roast, though, would you like to get roasted yourself? Actually, you took a couple of strays, right? If I remember correctly, during the whole telecast. Would you be into this for like a full-fledged roast?
Oh God, that would be interesting. I mean, if the money was right, I would say let's do it. But that would be a tough one. I mean, it's all fun and games, right? So yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Which fighter do you think would be best for a roast, and which would not have a sense of humor at all? Putting up with comedians, would end up in a rear naked chokehold? Do you think
a boogered up Conor McGregor would be a hell of a guy to get up on there, roast him a bit, let him have a couple bathroom breaks, and see where it goes?
Okay. All right. Good. Listen, who gave you the nickname Sugar? Now, I know they're going for the alliteration with Sean, but there have been other Sugars, right? Sugar Ray, the boxer. There's a pop artist, Sugar Ray, Sugar Shane Mosley. Who gave you this nickname?
Yeah, so my one of my first coaches ever back in Helena, Montana. You know, you got to be on the team for 6 months. You got to earn your nickname, and he gave me the nickname Sugar. And I asked him why, and he said, "Because you're so sweet to watch." Like, all right, fair enough. So Sugar Sean it was, and it's stuck ever since.
Okay. I feel you deserve your own, and I know we're going for the sh sound. Maybe the showstopper, Sean O'Malley, Shredder, Shaq Fu, maybe. I don't know.
Shaq Fu, not a bad one. Yeah, I mean, Sugar kind of it worked out. You know, I think Sugar Rashad gave me his blessing for it. So I think you know, as long as you can't be a Sugar, just suck though. You gotta be good.
That's for sure. That's for damn sure. All right, listen, don't take this the wrong way, but you're very unassuming in public. Yeah, if people didn't know you, they might think they could take advantage of you. What's the best story you have about a civilian not taking you seriously?
I mean, I haven't really had any. Oh, actually, I got one for you. This was when I think I was just turning. I think I was still an amateur. I had moved down to Arizona from Montana. I was 19 years old, 20 years old, right about to turn pro. But you know, had a lot of amateur fights, 14 fights or something. And me and Tim, my coach, we had a shitty apartment, and we'd go to training, come home, and we had this neighbor. His name was Tony. Very cool dude. He's probably in his 40s, shredded, just jacked little dude, 5'5", you know, just short but jacked. And he kind of mean mug you. We got to know him, talk to him. He's like, "Oh, you guys fight? Like, you can make money fighting?" We're like, yeah. He's like, "I could do that." And Tim worked at the UFC gym at the time, so we had access to a ring. He had a key, and he wanted Tim like, "Hey, if you want to fight, you can. Like, see how good you are, whatever." He's like, "I'm down." He thought he was gonna whoop my ass. Very unassuming. You know, I was 19, 20 years old. I was even less big than I am now. You know, not huge by any means now, but even then I was a lot smaller. And I made sure to take care of his head. Didn't want to hurt him too bad, but I kicked him right in the liver. He shit himself, shit through his pants, shit dropped onto the ring floor. He was stepping in it. And it was that was the one that was probably most memorable.
Oh, I can only imagine what a great superpower this is to have over people. Like that you could just crush in an instant. I always thought that about Manny Pacquiao. Like, he looks like he's like a busboy at any like a Mexican restaurant. And then I know he's not Mexican, so I don't want to get letters. But yeah, good for you, man. Good. I'm so glad you're able to do this. I saw on your Twitter feed you like to gamble on sports, which is really, really great news. It's probably why you felt good about taking my $20. Yeah. You know how it works. You're betting these NBA playoffs. The finals started last night. How did you do betting the NBA?
Honestly, I wish I could pull it up on that phone, but I'm using it right now because I've been on a nice little streak. I'm not gonna lie. I've actually been doing a pretty decent job. Been times where I've hit, you know, not such a great 10 losing streak, but right now I'm probably, 4 for 7 in the last 7. I'm doing pretty good. And, yeah, I'm doing decent this year so far.
What's your favorite bet on? Favorite sport?
Football's up there because I enjoy watching the games more. Basketball, I don't even really watch. Like, I'll throw them on a little bit if I got a couple bucks on the line. But football, I'll actually tune into. So I'd say football. That's
good. That's the right answer. You gave it the right answer. You gave it some thought, and you came up with the right answer. Can you wager on UFC? What's Dana's policy with that?
That's a big no-no. No gambling no betting on the fights in the UFC. I'm pretty sure you're allowed to in other organizations like PFL or Bellator. But I don't do that either. Even if you're allowed to, it's still like a gray area to where I'm just like, even the reason being is, if you have inside information. But for, I don't know. I know maybe like actually 2% of the guys in the UFC that I train, like, I don't know a lot of the guys, and I don't really even keep up with fights that much. But yeah, we're not allowed to do it in the UFC for sure. I'm not even sure about like Bellator, the other promotions. I don't know about that, but I don't mess around there.
Okay, I just saw this. Israel Adesanya went to visit you at your farm in Arizona. I'm very jealous of this. You had chickens, you have turtles, you have trampolines. What's his? Are you going to have people visit you? Is it an open invitation to any fighter that you like?
Yeah, I mean, Izzy was just in town. He was doing some, business stuff. He said he was going to be in town. I said, pop by, come hang out, train. So yeah, that was cool. I enjoy showing, kind of like the way I live in my lifestyle. And it's a lot different than you would probably assume. Super chill, peaceful, got 7 acres, got, huge trees in Arizona. It just doesn't seem like when you're on my property, it does not feel like you're in Arizona.
You know him?
Yeah, he's cool as hell.
Okay. Hello. How long is the neck?
He loves little neck scratches.
Oh, I see. He can't turn around and like nip.
Nah.
Doesn't
He
bite.
bit that one guy's finger off. No, I'm just kidding.
I can never mind.
So it's a very cool little spot I got out here, and really enjoy it. And I enjoy showing people how I live.
All right, let's talk about this fight. UFC 316 tomorrow night. I rewatched the first fight yesterday. I feel like if you had another 45 seconds, the fight was yours. The body shots were starting to take their toll. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, unfortunately, I only had a couple minutes left after I hurt him with that body shot, and that's just how fighting plays out sometimes. It takes one shot to change a fight. My shot just happened to land in the last few minutes. Ideally, we're gonna go out there and land that shot early and get him out of there. So, yeah, it was a lot closer fight, I think, than people thought after rewatching it. Yeah, it was a good one.
Now, earlier this week, Merab says in the rematch he wants to strike more. Do you believe him? Do you just dismiss that as, these guys are all liars? Can you even believe MMA fighters when they come out with their game plan? Or, he had success wrestling you, so it wouldn't make sense even to talk about striking more.
He literally said the exact same thing the first fight. You can go back, find interviews with him saying, I'm going to box with him. It's like, I don't know if he just runs out of things to say. And his brain only can do so much, and I'm gonna box with him. He just comes out sometimes, maybe. So I don't think we're not taking that too serious. We're expecting him to come out there and throw some hands a little bit to get into some shots and play his game.
Have you made adjustments? It sounds stupid asking if you made adjustments in training, but would it be the on the mat? Would that be the adjustments you made more, or to strike first, or a combination of both?
Just grapple, wrestle, be ready. Like I just wasn't able to do that last fight camp. I had a torn labrum. I had surgery scheduled for after the fight. Got that fixed. Had a great fight camp. Was able to do what I needed to do to beat a guy like Merab. You gotta be healthy. You gotta have a good camp to beat someone like Merab, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, and I know you're super focused leading up to this fight. Was it harder to quit social media or marijuana?
Neither. Both. Boom. Cold turkey. Peace. Feel great. Feel better than ever, mentally, peacefully, physically, emotionally. I just feel better than I've ever felt in my life.
I love it. All right. So who better to ask than you? How should people bet on this win, this Sugar Sean O'Malley win? By decision or KO? Give me a prediction if you can.
Yeah, that's the question. I think obviously going to be an underdog here, which is great. I think I very well could put his lights out. I very well could beat him in a 5-round war. So I think to be safe, you just take the money line or whatever. You just, take Sugar winner, by winner one way or the other. I think that was nice. It's hard to predict the finish, especially over a guy like Merab. But I would not be surprised if we fast forward, 1 a.m., June 8th, I'm getting my hand raised. The fight's on June 7th, but I'll fight at 12:30, gets over at 1 a.m., June 8th. You gotta manifest it. You gotta manifest it. So I gotta tell myself right. June 8th, I'm getting my hand raised.
All right, Sean, before you go, we have one more question for you. We call this Cousin's Conundrum.
Cousin's Conundrum.
Okay, here's the conundrum.
Okay.
You are guaranteed to never lose another fight in your professional career again, but in return, you have to get a full-on back tattoo of Conor McGregor.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm gonna risk the, fighting wouldn't be fun if it's guaranteed to win. I guess maybe it'd be different. Life would be a lot different. Preparing for fights would be a lot different if you knew you were going to go out there and win. So I enjoy the process of the unknown and all of that. And you can't get a giant Conor McGregor tattoo on your back. You just can't do that.
Yeah, that process wouldn't be too thrilling, I imagine. The Conor McGregor tattoo. All right, good. Listen, you answered everything correctly. Good job by you. Thanks so much for coming on. Good luck tomorrow at UFC 316. Hopefully I'll be giving you another $20 next time I see you.
I sure hope so. Gas is expensive.
It sure is. All right. We'll be right back with the D3 when Cousin Sal's winning weekend continues. Welcome back to Cousin Sal's winning weekend. Let's get back to betting and bring in my next guest, headliners of this summer's Parlay Palooza. They're my wizards of wagering, my gurus of gambling, my barons of betting, my overlords of the odds. From the Against All Odds podcast, the D3, Harry, Brother Bry, Darren, the Parlay Kid. What's going on, boys?
What's going on, Sal?
How we doing, Sal?
What's going on, buddy?
Well, fellas, I talked about it earlier. It's the end of an era, of course. Basketball on TNT, and more importantly, inside the NBA, even though that continues over on ESPN. I paid tribute to it earlier, like I said, in Tossing Topics. That got the make-believe riverboat captain thinking. He asked me to put odds on this. Well, he then put odds on this. He said, other than Inside the NBA, which is the best studio show in sports history, this shows attached to live sporting events. What is the second best? Is it Fox NFL Sunday, 3-1 odds? Is it CBS NFL Today? Oh, great ones in the 70s and 80s, 5-1 odds. ESPN College Game Day, 10-1 odds. NBA on ESPN, 1,000-1. Yeah, that's a long shot. Or The Field at even. Let's start with you, Brother Bry. What do you like here?
Look, Sal, for me, it was always two shows. You had Inside the NBA and it was College Game Day, right? And you give me 10-1 odds, right? That crazy right there. But yeah, these two always stood out to me. And you know, when I think about College Game Day, it's funny. You can kind of smell the grass. I don't know. Like if I think about it now, right? You smell football, right? College football. You have
a great television. I need to upgrade. Yeah.
There is something about it, though. And I will say, look, there has never been a show more prepared, right? A 3-hour football show before football. Yeah. I wouldn't watch that at all for the NFL. I have a hard time these days watching like 20 minutes of a pregame, but I will continue to watch College Game Day. You know, and look, they went from Chris Fowler to Reese Davis, and right, they really didn't miss a beat, right? It's the perfect amount of, you know, there's a comedy aspect, but I think these guys just love football and they know so much about it. Football, it just gets you in the mood for that full day of college football. So nothing close.
All right. Harry, give us your pick. You going Field or you like anything on the board?
I'm going to go with something that's on the board, Sal. I'm going to go with the CBS NFL Today show in the 70s and 80s. I'm going to go with where it all started, Sal, for me, you, and the Parlay Kid. We couldn't wait for Brent Musburger to start the NFL Today with his famous line, "You are looking live at Chili Soldier Field, where the Bears and the Monsters of the Midway are taking on the Minnesota Vikings." It was fantastic. Great crew, Irv Cross, Jimmy the Greek's analysis, which, you know, started the whole gambling, you know, process of sports in general. And Phyllis George, this crew did a tremendous job breaking games down. I'm going to go with the genesis of the NFL for us, Sal, me, you, and Parlay Kid some 45 years ago.
All right, I agree. Great show. Phyllis George, by the way, I think of Miss America. I'm going to look this up, Parlay Kid. She was, right? All right.
Kentucky, I believe.
Okay. Parlay Kid, let's not get too excited. Parlay Kid, what do you go? You're agreeing with Harry here.
I'm agreeing with Harry. Did Harry mention chili? It figures. But yeah, of course, we're romanticizing.
You mentioned the Chili's near Soldier Field, I think he said. Yeah.
I've been to Ditka's.
No doubt. But yes, I agree with Harry here, Sal. We're going to bring a little nostalgia back for us here, because that's when we started to fall in love with football. And what better way to start off with it on CBS with Brent, with Phyllis, with Irv Cross, and then, of course, Jimmy the Greek, who was kind of a pioneer in our industry for sure. So that, to me, was what really brought football to life.
Right. Jimmy the Greek, kind of a sad ending to his life
no
and his
doubt.
career and everything else. But he did start it off. They were not allowed to talk about the lines. They're still barely allowed to talk about the lines, I think, on network pregame shows. But he would say, I like Tampa Bay over Philadelphia small. Like, that's how he would indicate, like, if it was going to be a blowout, if they were going to cover or not. So, yeah, he was a character. Well, listen, thank you guys for not picking any of the shows that I've been tied to here, the Ringer Wise Guys or Fox NFL Sunday. I don't even know if we're counting Ringer Wise Guys. I have this trophy for, this is, I believe, the first or second win for me. I don't know. You know, I win the wisest wager every year. I don't know.
Wow.
Whatever. I'm sure I'll win it again. So that's here on FanDuel TV or YouTube TV. Best bet honors. That's right. So maybe that doesn't qualify because it doesn't butt up against the game. But that Fox NFL pregame show that I did with my cousin Jimmy, I would just sit there in a chair. I would give the picks. He would give the comedy for it. And I never felt more threatened at a job than I did with that, because we would go after Howie and Terry every single week. Jimmy would dress like them. He would talk like them. They were not used to being like, old-time ball players. They were not used to being made fun of, really, except by other players, let alone, fat Jimmy Kimmel and his fatter cousin sitting there. So, we had our lives threatened a few times. He pounded them every week. They hated us, especially Howie, but everybody loves each other now. So that's what I would say. I would give that. That was 3-1 Fox NFL Sunday. That's, by the way, the first in the ratings for like 32 years now in a row. Wow. So there you go. All right, let's get to these NBA Finals. Thunder, Pacers, Game 2, one more in OKC before the series shifts to Indianapolis. Hopefully we see Kristen Chenoweth courtside tonight. Let's take a look at our favorite player props for Game 2. Chenoweth not on FanDuel's menu. Harry, start us off. What do you like? Oh, you're giving us a nice, juicy, vigged out prop here, player prop, minus 158. Good job.
That's right. Obi Toppin under 9.5 points at minus 158. Toppin is 7th in the postseason in points per game for the Pacers, now playing against his former team, the Knicks. He did combine for 29 points in his last 2 games, but before that, he was under 9 in the other 4 games. Also, he went under 9 in 4 of the 5 games versus Cleveland. 5 of his last 6 road contests, he's gone for 8 points or less. Toppin under 9.5 points.
All right, Parlay Kid, that's your boy, Obi Toppin, right?
Yeah.
Knicks, Dayton, then went to the Pacers and kind of had a couple of moments where he shoved it up the Knicks kazoo right there. A couple dunks there, big one. So which one you going?
I'm going to be certainly rooting for Obi here in this series. And I kind of agree with what Harry's saying, though. However, he'll probably come down in points. But so I'm going to be taking Dort, 4+ rebounds at plus 112. Dort will be guarding Halliburton in this series. And usually when you get to guard the point guard, especially a bigger guy like Dort, that will enable him to crash the boards on missed shots while Halliburton's kind of hanging around the perimeter a little bit. So far this year, he's averaging 6 boards per game against the Pacers. And he's gone over this number in 4 of the last 6 and 3 of the last 4, getting a plus number here. So let's go Dort, 4+ rebounds at plus 112.
All right, there you go. Brian, give us a Game 2 player prop.
Yeah, I'm going to take Miles Turner under 13.5 points. Look, he didn't shoot well from 3 in that Knicks series. And I think, in order for him to go over in some of these games, he's going to have to shoot well from 3. And the Thunder are going to guard him even better in this series. And, Turner's a kind of guy right away, right, how this bet is going to go. And if he starts out first draining 2 or 3 threes in the first 5 minutes of the game, you're screwed. But if he misses one early and he's just not getting many attempts, you're good to go. And if you look back during the regular season too against them, he did not shoot well against the Thunder. So I'm going to take the under 13.5 points for Miles Turner.
All right, talk about Jekyll and Hyde, Jalen Williams. And I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I'm taking him 3+ threes at plus 250. One of the more frustrating players, at least to bet on, right? So he gets his 19 points a game by switching off between 14 and 26-point games, it seems. That's how he gets. He's a feast or famine guy. I think he's going to feast in Game 2. 3+ threes. Even when he's off, he always seems to get to 2. So it's a good bet with the plus 250. I think he has 2 more in 11 playoff games. He had that 6er against the T-Wolves in Game 4. So it puts up like 5 or 6 attempts a game. It's almost like 2.5 to 1 for him to nail 3 from downtown. So let's cash this one, Jalen. And now let's move over to the ice. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Oilers and Panthers. Edmonton took the first one 4-3. We were doing a podcast. We were doing Against All Odds. We were just about to wrap up. There was a minute and a half left. I'm like, this is great. This worked out nicely. We'll be able to see the second overtime. And then just before we ended, Edmonton scored 4-3. And now FanDuel has him as a minus 225 favorite to win the Stanley Cup. As far as this game goes, Game 2, they are minus 126 plus 115 on the take back. Parlay Kid, you like the Panthers to even things up.
Yes, Sal, I do. And by the way, what a treat that was. What a game. We deserved that one because hockey's been a little down, but that more than made up for it. I think we're going to see just a back and forth series here, Sal. I don't think any team is really ever going to get a 2-game advantage. So I'm going to go with the Floridas here, plus 105. This is a deep team. They're a resilient team. They very rarely lose 2 in a row. They usually bounce back with a great performance. I think Bobrovsky stands on his head in this one, saves them, evens it up, which, that wouldn't hurt the series, Sal. Let's get it back 1-1 going back to Florida.
I always like the standing on his head. That denotes that the goalie's been great, doing well, out of his mind. But I would say, like, if you were an instructional hockey guy, you would say that's the last thing a goalie should do, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's very hard. It's hard enough. I'm looking at Conn Smythe odds before we get to the other guys. Connor McDavid -150 now. Bobrovsky +430. But we discussed it a little on Against All Odds yesterday. Sam Bennett. Oh, wow, he went to 20-1. Interesting. Didn't I say he was 13-1?
Went from 30 to 13. Yeah, now back to 20.
And now back to 20. All right, well, that's my pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I picked him to score a point because he's just been red hot, and he ended up scoring 2 goals in game 1 and situated himself in a weird way. One of them was controversial, wasn't really pushed, whatever, fell backward. They got the goal, they got the power play. So I'm going to go 2+ points here at +300. Like I said, 2 goals and 5 shots in game 1, that losing effort. 1 point in 9 of his last 11 road games, at least 1. At least 8 of his last 10 overall. He's had a couple. Had a point in the first 3 games versus Edmonton last year and 4 overall. So I like this at +300. Sammy Bennett really making some noise. And like we said, bouncing around right there in the top 3 or 4 for Conn Smythe guys. All right, Harry, you came up with this. What do you got?
I got Oilers' Evan Bouchard. 3+ shots on goal at a plus here, Sal, at +146. Had 3 or more in 4 of the Stanley Cup games last year versus Florida. He's 3rd on the Oilers in shots on goal in the playoffs this season, only 2 behind Draisaitl. And in game 1, he had 7 shots on goal. Give me the defenseman, Evan Bouchard, 3+ shots on goal at plus money.
Are you sure?
I feel pretty confident.
All right. Bri, you're coming back. Why not? Why do you have to search for a new prop when you got a winner right there? You had this winner in game 1. You didn't have to worry about the rest of the game after like 6 minutes. Edmonton to score the first goal.
Yeah, I'm going back to the well again. Edmonton to score the first goal. It took a little over a minute in game 1 to win this bet. That was now the 9th time in a row that Edmonton has scored the first goal in their games, which is pretty crazy going back to that Vegas series. And, they just continue to start out very quickly in these first periods, right? And just with the firepower they have on offense. And look, Skinner, I think, was shaky early in that game, but eventually he got his legs under him, in the second half of that game. So I think Oilers flying high after game 1. I think they come out strong again early. I don't know if they're going to win the game, but I think they score the first goal again.
All right, there you go. Listen, fellas, we're going to take a quick break. We've still got our UFC 316 picks, College World Series winners, and you don't think I'd let the show go by without another football future, did you? We're going to have that too when Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend returns. All right, welcome back to Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. Still here, hanging out with the D3. Unfortunately, the powers that be don't let us bet on NFL OTAs. But anyway, back to these specials. You could find them. Parlay Kid, let's start with you. You like the Killer Bees, all to make the playoffs.
The Killer Bees, Sal. The Bills, the Bengals, the Broncos, and the Bucks to all make the playoffs at +550. I would anticipate the Bills being right back on top of their division, Sal, so I'm not really too worried about them. And same with Cincy. Cincy is really a loaded team, especially on the offensive front. They had a really good draft on the defensive side, so I, of course, like them as well. The Bucks are still the best team in that very terrible division of theirs, so I still think they maintain their playoff run here. The one team I'm a little worried about, the Denver Broncos, even though I really love the team, I think they might be sitting in the best division in football, or at least one of them with the Chiefs and the Chargers as well. And Brian really likes the Raiders to have a pretty solid season too. So if there's one here I'm worried about, would be Denver. But with Peyton, with Bo Nix, with a defense that's one of the top in the NFL, I do think they make a run at the playoffs. I'll take this at +550.
So +550, that's nice. You talked about the AFC West. Harry never stops talking about the AFC West. He's ready to lose this bet yet once again. What is it, Harry? Tell him.
I love this one. At -125, somebody other than Kansas City wins the AFC West.
Somebody. You have a choice of three. Yeah.
Boys, it's time. It is time. No one ever in NFL history was more fortunate or lucky as Kansas City was last year. Denver and the Chargers scored more points than Kansas City last year, and both teams gave up less points than Kansas City did in 2024. Both Sean Payton and my buddy, Jim Harbaugh, are knocking on Kansas City's door. Chargers won 11 last year. Denver won 10. And Kansas City's offense doesn't scare anybody, especially if Kermit gets hurt. It's over for Andy, the big tomato Reid, and his Chiefs.
All right, Brian, you are a Raiders fan, and you have never, since I've known you, liked them to win more than 4.5 games. So this is a gigantic leap for you. As part of your special here, you have the Raiders over 7.5. What you have that? What else you have?
Well, look, this is an interesting parlay, right? It's Bills to get the first seed in the AFC. It's the Raiders over 7.5, and it's the Cardinals under 8.5, and that gets you 15-1, which I really like. So look at the Bills to get the first seed in the AFC. If you look at their schedule, it's an amazing schedule. Like, they only play 4 or 5 tough games, and almost every tough game is at home, right? So they have the Ravens, Kansas City, Bengals, Eagles, all at home. Outside of that, maybe a road game at Houston. They're going to be favored in the majority of their games here. And this Bills team, offensively, they should be even better. So I think if they don't get the 1 seed this year with some of these other teams having tough schedules, I think maybe something went wrong here for the Bills. So I do like that. Then you look at the Raiders over 7.5. Pete Carroll, I think at a minimum, I feel like he should get this team to 8 or 9 wins this season. The schedule is not bad, right? And I think if they could get something out of their rookie wide receivers, because we know they're going to run the ball probably well this season. If they can get something out of the rookie wide receivers, I think they'll have a solid season, so they can get to 8 or 9. And then the Cardinals 8.5 wins. I do kind of like the Cardinals coach, but talent-wise, I feel like just getting to 9 wins again is that's a lot for them. I know they won 8 last year, but they finished the season up poorly. And Kyler Murray, you just never know year to year. So I would take the Cardinals under 8.5. So those three, 15-1. I like those.
That's a good number, 15-1. Pretty good. Not nearly as good. Half as good, I would say. Plus 750 is my pick of the Bills, the Texans, and the Rams to each win their divisions. Now, this is on FanDuel. This is in the specials page. I haven't dug into the season like I'm going to, right? But we do have a weekend without football again, so I have to talk about it. So FanDuel has these specials. I think this is a good one you could hedge getting into week 17, week 18. Bills, Texans, Rams to win the division. Bills, let's just go by quarterbacks for now. Josh Allen got married. He's married to winning the AFC East. He's done it, 5 times in a row? You can have fun rooting for the Patriots, Bill Simmons, but I don't think they're going to get to the top. The Dolphins might regress. I think the Jets are the Jets. They take a step back. So then you have the AFC South, which is never fun to watch. But C.J. Stroud, the Texans have won 2 in a row. The Jags still have their issues. New coach, new everything. Colts don't know who their quarterback's going to be, really. The Titans should be improved, but not from 2 to 10 wins improved. So that's why I like the Texans. And then Stafford and the Rams are the wild card, right? It's a coin flip with the 49ers to win that NFC West. Seattle and Arizona, Brian, like we said, should be around that 8-win total. But I think the young Rams with the old but best quarterback in the division get it done. And the best head coach, let's face it. So plus 750 for Rams, Texans, and what did I say? Bills to win that division. I'm going to speak that into existence as we speak of it here in June. All right, earlier we talked to Sugar Sean O'Malley. I should have asked him if I could be in his entourage walking to the ring tomorrow. Maybe I'll call him back in a bit. But let's give out our best bets for UFC 316. There are about 3 or 4 good bets here on the main card. A couple of good undercards here. Parlay Kid, you likey Lukey a lot. I think you like this guy, right?
Yeah, it's a good card, Sal, here. I'm gonna take one of the fights that maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe not a headliner, but it would have certainly had taken more notice for sure. Vicente Luque over Kevin Holland at plus 210. I think this fight, both guys get worn down early. The fight eventually goes to the mat where Luque, who's a submission expert, can end this fight or at least control the fight from the ground. Luque at plus 10 at 210, I think is a good one here, Sal, for 2 guys who are kind of equal at this point.
Yeah, Holland is on his way to WWE, right? With all the antics and everything.
He's got a lot of it. Yeah,
just a matter of time. He's going to replace R-Truth, right? There's a roster slot open for him. All right, Harry, you, despite not watching or not knowing much about UFC, have a 3-fighter parlay here.
Yeah, and I keep winning these when I don't watch, and I keep winning my bets on it anyways. But I do have a 3-leg parlay, minus 125. I'm going to do a little bit with that Luke Holland fight. I'm going to have it to start the second round, to at least start the second round. Yep. Holland's last fight went 3 full rounds versus Gunnar Nelson, and 4 of Luke's last 5 fights have started the second round. So I'm going to go with that to start the second round. I'm going to take Kayla Harrison over Juliana Pena. Harrison's 13-1 overall and has a much better takedown and submission percentage than Pena does. And I'm going to take Quillen Salkild over Yanil Ashmus. Now, Salkild is 5 years younger, has a 6-inch reach. A 6-inch reach.
There we go.
Most importantly, has a Q in his name.
Parlay Kid, when these guys have, like they'll have these wrestlers with one arm win a state championship and everything. Harry must be like, whoa, what the hell? That kid, he has no reach. How? That just must blow Harry's mind.
My reach theory has been working. Can't deny it.
All right, we're not.
Nobody's got shorter arms than Harry. So.
That's why he's going to win the 3-point contest against Angel Reese. Just he shoots from the bosom. All right, Bri. Harry talked about Pena Harrison. Over 3.5 rounds. Yeah, he talked about takedowns and stuff. This one's gonna be on the mat a while?
It's hard to say, Sal, because both can grapple here a little bit, and both are submission type experts. But I'm going to take the over 3.5 in this Kayla Harrison Juliana Pena fight because, look, I'm still not 100% sure how dominant Kayla Harrison is. At times she looks like maybe she could be the best female fighter ever, and then other times she looks average. So I think if this is inside 3.5 rounds, it's more likely to be a submission. But look, 3 of the last 4 fights went the distance for Harrison. And Pena, right, she is tough, right? The problem I would say with Pena, she just hasn't fought a lot. She's fought like twice over the last 3 years, but in her last 2 fights, they both did go the distance in 5-round fights, and one of those included Nunez, right? She did beat Nunez before by submission, and then she still went the distance the second time with her. So again, maybe if anything, she just has not fought enough, but I think she'll be able to survive this fight. I like it going the distance. You can get some decent money like plus 165, plus 170 to go the distance, but I'm going to take the over 3.5 rounds.
All right, there you go. All right, so mine, I was nice about it. I don't want to go against my guy Sugar Shaq Fu O'Malley here. So I'm not going to. I'm going to put his match in a parlay. Marab O'Malley. I'm going to say it goes the distance and went the distance the first time. There's going to be some heavy shots landed for sure. But I see a lot of it on the ground. Like the first one, I'm hoping O'Malley wins 3 rounds just from striking. And then 3 out of the 5, and it's a decision. He landed some effective body shots in the first encounter, but I see it going the distance. I'm pairing that with Joe Pyfer over Kelvin Gastelum. Gastelum in his mid-30s now. He's 3-6 since 2019. He's a tough guy. He eats a lot of heavy shots. Not at all easy to put away. So, and rowdy Joe Pyfer, that's what he emerges from, the heavy shots. So I think he's going to at least win a decision there. Sugar Shane goes the distance. Parlay that for minus 146. I know, Harry. I tried to get that earlier. Lower. Is it minus 139? I did get it lower. There you go, minus 139. So, all right, hey, College Baseball World Series starts this weekend. 16 teams competing for the trophy. The top 2 seeds, Vanderbilt and Texas, got eliminated. So let's make some money. Pick a winner. Harry, well, I say pick a winner. Let's get your pick out of the way, and then the rest of us will try to pick a winner.
Hey,
what are you doing here with UTSA?
You want to rip me about my favorites? I'm taking a 34-1 shot. I'm taking the UTSA Roadrunners. Why not the Roadrunners? They just went 3-0 in the Austin Regional, which included taking 2 from the Longhorns, who are highly favored in that. They're 47-11 in their last 58 games. UTSA has 6 starters, 6, batting .316 or better. They get UCLA next, and the Bruins' top 3 starters all have ERAs over 4. Like I said, why not UTSA?
Well, again, go ahead.
Yeah. Look, UNC is now a baseball school, Sal. It's out with the basketball, in with the baseball. As Harry already alluded to, however, it is true that some of the top teams are already out of this tournament. So it's kind of more wide open than it's ever been. UNC is sitting at with a record of 45-13. They have terrific pitching depth, led by Jake Knapp, who's 13-0 on the season. They got a couple stud freshmen as well. Gavin Gallagher comes into this tournament. He's one of their top hitters as it is, but he's coming into this tournament on fire. 13 for his last 18. UNC has not lost 2 games in a row since early March. So this team is ready to go. They have as good a shot as anybody here. Plus 650. Really like them.
All right, Brian and I are going head-to-head because Tennessee plays Arkansas in the first round. Now, I'm taking Arkansas plus 380. They're the number 3 seed. They're the highest seed left right now. Our buddy Brad is going to be pissed at this pick because he's a big Tennessee guy. But Arkansas won 2 out of 3 from Tennessee this year. And when that happens, it's good. 19 super regionals featured between opponents that went against each other 3 times. 13-6 went to the team that won the regular season. So good news for Dave Van Horn's 23rd season as head coach here. I like this team. They got the Bash Brothers, they call. Wahia and Kohia Aloy. They had this Gage Wood and Gabe Geckel. Had like 20 strikeouts against Creighton. This is a good team. 46-13. Good pitching. Good hitting. Give me the Razorbacks plus 370 to win the College World Series. They have to get by your Tennessee Volunteers, though, first, Brian.
Yeah, how dare you throw out that 13-6 stat? That sounds too good there. But yeah, give me Tennessee plus 650 here. You know, Sal, this is a great matchup, right? This is a great first-round matchup. These are 2 teams that consistently seem to be in the College World Series. And look, you know, I'm going to go with Tennessee, who won the championship last year, right? They have some experience still left on their side. And, you know, like you were saying, Sal, I mean, Tennessee did lose this matchup during the season, but I think this really comes down to the pitcher Liam Doyle, who was fantastic for Tennessee this year. He just has not had a lot of success against Arkansas in his career. So if he can pitch a little bit better here, I think they could advance past Arkansas and potentially win this thing. I think they do have a good lineup. If anything, I think it just depends how well their third starters pitch, even though they've pitched well in the playoffs so far. But give me Tennessee plus 650. But this sometimes is a crapshoot, this tournament. So maybe Harry's onto something.
It's a lot of fun. Bri had a bad ache with women's softball the other day. We're going to do it, though. Baseball's back. College, pro. We got NBA Finals, NHL, Stanley Cup. Fellas, thanks so much. Good job by you. We'll be right back to close things out on Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. Welcome back to Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. Hey, we're all out of time. My thanks to Sugar Sean O'Malley. Good luck tomorrow night. Next time I see you, hopefully I'll be giving you $20. And my thanks to the D3, who next time I see them will no doubt be asking me to lend them $20. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. And please always remember, you may feel like an underdog, but just know you're all my favorites. Happy handicapping.